Hey everybody, it's Matt Schmidt, and I want to welcome you to week number 2 of our AI targeting system free training. It's just us hanging out, me, answering questions and trying to do as much as we can. We'll try to get a couple of you on the call today, anybody that is willing and able and maybe willing to share their screen, and we're ready to rock and roll. So if you missed webinar number 1, it's actually in the members area under Chapter 6 bonus calls. So all you got to do is hop on there and go check it out. So let's get started. I wanted to show you something really cool that I was playing around with in the Audience Insight tool. Whoa, I got the whole world up here, I guess. Let's go ahead and do this. Data on the whole world. That's pretty cool that it would even concatenate that much data. But let's go ahead and do what I was thinking. Under, you know how we do the custom audience exclusion that we talk about in the course, I just noticed over here, and I played around with it once, I remember seeing it, but you can also exclude locations in the United States. Now, if I wanted to do something like Texas, huge population here in the United States, I can actually exclude them from the data that gets populated. Now, why does that become useful? And let me open this wide up here. I was playing around with this earlier today. Why does that become useful? Now, if you think about those teams where people used to do the team shirts, now you can do this with other interests as well. You have to be creative. But when they would do like, my team is the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I live in this other state. Well, not, football teams and all those other sports, that's pretty easy to tell based off of some data elsewhere. But you could do some other niches that are maybe state, local, like if somebody wants to fire one out, maybe something popular for the state, within the state of Florida, but you want to see where else it's popular based off of people's interest on Facebook. I will use a team here to do. Let's go ahead and say St. Louis Cardinals, my birds. So it's going to give me data on that. So if I go over a location, no, I shouldn't do that actually. Let me do, because I got Texas excluded, Dallas Mavericks. So now we can get to see Dallas Mavericks is a basketball team in that Texas. If I go under location, I can start to see the other cities where the majority of that population is built up of. You can see that a large percentage of it obviously is in Texas. But you got Cleveland, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Jacksonville, Florida. These are states more than likely that you could target. And, you don't have to just target Cleveland, but you can target Ohio and get probably some pretty cool results. Now, again, basketball teams, sports teams, that's probably easy data to just go out and Google. I used to run those shirts too, and I don't know, you got to be really, really careful about sports. But if somebody got like a local, something come to mind, I was literally playing with this 30 minutes before I got in here and on this call with you. But if you think of something on like a local level in a state, in your state, we could plug it in here and exclude the current state that it's in and see where other people on Facebook really like it and really are social about it, which would be, right, good targets for you to go after. So that was something cool, and I wanted to share it to you guys as a, a treat with some, and I want to see some possibilities and some results from playing around with this. But I thought that was really cool. Is that interesting to anybody else? I think that's pretty cool. Intriguing, yeah. I need an example. Well, that was the example. So let's get like a bigger team. Mavericks, maybe not as big. Drawing a blank on Cowboys. Why not just do Cowboys? Cowboys are one of the biggest. Cowboys have, whether or not you like them or not, they do have one of the biggest followings in the United States. Exactly. Brian's asking, is the purpose to find where the concentration of a market is outside the local market? Exactly. So what the cool, hold on one second. Clemens, if you can't, he can't hear me. Let me send hook Clemens up real quick. Okay. So the purpose is to find concentration of a market outside of a local. Like you're trying to get something on a local level that people only normally would like in a local state, like concentrated within the state of Texas. The Dallas Cowboys, the majority of the fans would be outside of Texas. But what we've done is gone ahead and excluded them from our reporting here. We still have 5 to 6 million people that are, I don't know if that's accurate. Let me make sure. That seems like a lot. So maybe, yeah, look at that. Check that out. So you got excluding Texas. Whoops. It's so fresh in my mind, I forgot how to do it for a second. So Texas, exclude. So now we are looking at the states. We're looking at the concentrations, basically, of gathered data, but I can guarantee you Tennessee has a large population of Dallas Cowboy fans. And same here with New Mexico. That's a bordering state. Yes, right? Yes. So New Mexico, sorry, brain fart. New Mexico is a bordering state to Texas. I'm still questioning that in my mind. Somebody call me out. But either way, it's a close state. I know that. So yeah, this is a way of focusing on markets that are available. And look, there's Seymour. And go ahead and sort this by size. Okay, thank you, Doug. It's been a long day. So California, Nevada, Arizona. Now you know the states where not only the people are interested in it, right? But they're on Facebook. They're people on Facebook. Those maps and other things that people use do not show the Facebook population. And I've always told you that the only way and the best way of knowing your targets on Facebook is by using Facebook. So I think this is a pretty cool thing. And, Melinda has Washington State craft beers. If you have one in mind, I am not a craft beer guy from Washington State. But you can definitely do some cool stuff with this. And I am definitely going to have my team start playing around with this. I'm going to start playing around with it and really know and try to see some results here. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. So let's keep going. That's what I had going on with you guys right now. That was just a cool thing I wanted to show. The next thing to do is start going after some questions. So the first thing I want to do, though, is try to get somebody who is willing to come on the call, and then I got to actually kind of figure out how to do that because my boy Damien's not here. All holidays and stuff. I guess that's an excuse. But we're going to go ahead and try to get somebody on the call. So if you have a question and you're willing to get on the call, you got a mic and everything, let's go ahead and get you on. So just the first person I see who volunteers wants to get on, let me know. Doug, you are it. So let me see how I get Doug Johnson. Make sure I get you. Doug, be prepared. Doug Johnson. All right, Doug, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. All right, can everybody else hear Doug? What's that?
Hope I'm coming in loud and clear.
Sound good. Everybody can hear you. So now what I need to do is give you the screen for a minute here. Hey, look at this. Okay, Doug, I think you have to accept that, and then we can keep going.
All right, I am going to show my screen here.
That was the first time I've ever tried that, and thank God I didn't blow anything up.
I have 3 monitors, so let me focus on the screen.
You had to upstage me. I only have 2.
Okay, so there we go. Hopefully you can see everything here, my
cool.
Google
Yep.
screen or whatnot. So
yep.
Cool. So what is the experiment, or what do I have to do?
No, I just want to, whatever you got going on, or whatever you're willing to share. If you got some questions or something.
Well, I do have a question that I'm hoping you can help me out.
Absolutely.
One of my big things, and let me log into Facebook here. but one of my big things is when I create an advertisement and I go into, for example, create ad,
Yep.
and then I go into boost your posts.
Right.
And I'll choose a page or whatnot. I'll just choose my shirt page here.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I choose a post, right, let's say I use a post, or if I'm creating a post in the Power Editor, when I load it up, or when I create the link within the post, like I use the picture, say, hey, here's the picture, here's the shirt, everything's fine and dandy, click this link to buy more. Usually when I'm targeting a specific audience, the variable keys or the URL tags within the editor seem to not be that friendly to me. So I started using variable keys. So like if I have teespring.com/myshirt, then I'll do the question mark T, and then I'll do like an abbreviation. So if I was targeting photographers, I would put like male photographer, like something like that.
Right.
That way it just, when I go into the analytics of my Teespring,
Yep.
let me just go into like this one here. Like this one sold 217, so I'll go in and I'll be able to actually look at my values.
Yep.
And I just find it easier, but once you start, and it works great when you have 2 to 3 target markets, or 2 to 3 niches, or 2 to 3 target audiences that you're targeting to. But once you start getting into 10, 15 different markets, or 10 to 15 different audiences, it just gets so damn, or excuse my language, sorry, we recorded. It just gets so darn convoluted and confusing. So I was curious if you had a better way of organizing that, because when you're doing 2 or 3 campaigns a week, it's no big deal. But once you start moving into 10, 15, 20 campaigns a week, it's just a headache.
Right. So you're passing this along from the Facebook ad, right? Just to make sure. Okay.
That's correct. Yeah.
So what I usually do is name it the same as my ad set, and then if I don't split out by interest, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
But what I'll do is, so if I'm targeting, like I talked about how I would do male, mobile, 35 to 44, or whatever, whatever. So I would do MM34. And then, I only got that campaign, or, it used to be just under one ad set. Now it's under multiple ad sets. So each ad set ad will have its individual URL tag associated with the same name that I have all my ad sets. And the only reason I do that is because neither system is perfect. They're both flawed. So you got the conversion pixel that sometimes fires, sometimes doesn't, and then you got the URL tag that shows you the shares, but doesn't show you. It gets lost in translation sometimes, and people wonder who the buyers are if they're not aged appropriately. So if you name it as specific to your ad as possible, you'll still have a general idea of where those buyers are within that bracket. So the 35 to 44 male mobile, you'll know that bracket is converting. You just can't narrow it down any further than that.
Gotcha. Well, then I guess and I did find out, and this might be just hearsay, but I did ask that question, why the checkout conversion pixels don't always pick up every sale, and apparently they only pick up the sales made by the people that clicked the initial link on the ad and then bought. So
and even that
shares,
though,
people that clicked it up.
Even that though. I'm fairly confident that even when I'm doing like website conversion ads, where maybe they don't. It's something that's more than just something that's not shared as much, something that's not so viral. They still don't fire all the time. I'm pretty convinced that based off of everybody's, like, I got a couple of browsers that don't hold any cookies or don't do anything like that. That if people do that and they come back to it, or I don't know. So whatever people do, I don't think they fire every single time.
Gotcha.
So they'll be much more accurate. But the combination of the two will give you a better idea of which ad set's going. So don't try to hide it too much. Like you got photographer, But if that's if you use that on more than one ad set, then I could see that getting really, really confusing.
Yeah, it definitely can. And I guess, and one last question I have, that way I don't take up everybody else's time. The other question I have is, in your AI targeting system. And
Yeah.
by the way, not free advertisement. It's awesome.
Well, these are all buyers, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
well, you should buy it again, guys. So, the one thing that I do differently than you, and I guess maybe I should stop doing it, is that I have a hard time putting all of the interests of specific niche shirts that I'm selling into one ad, because I guess a part in the back of my head, that little voice is saying, oh, well, you're going to lose out on or you're going to spend more advertising dollars because not all of those interests are going to convert as well as the other. And so I wanted to ask you kind of your thought process on that so I could get it into my head to start doing it the way you suggest.
Okay, so using that logic, right, then we would want to create an ad for every single interest, every single gender, age, and platform. So you would want a photographer interest, male, 41 years old, on mobile, because because that literally will be a better converting at that level, at that segmentation level. You'll literally have like 41 be better than 40, and so on and so forth. So in my mind, the one piece that I can really scale down into, I can really do on the front end is that data research to see if it's highly targeted. In my mind, if I know that the interest is very targeted towards the niche, then it's a good prospect to run into. There's also a consideration that if you segment too far down, you're not giving yourself, and Facebook for that matter, a lot of optimization ability.
Okay.
Because they're gonna yes, they will waste a little bit, but once they start optimizing, they can look through the whole segment. That's why your ad performs better over time to a certain extent, until your frequency goes up and everything. But your ad will perform better. There'll be like a sweet spot where your ad is really, really good and you're killing it, and then it won't be as good on the tail end, it won't be good on its front end, because Facebook is doing work to try to show you that ad to the right people for engagement or for conversion or something like that. So the interests are something that we can gather data on in the Audience Insight tool that we know that they're targeted. I feel like if you didn't have the Audience Insight tool, you would totally want to segment on interest. And I used to do that with back in January, where we would because we would be like, oh, it's related, I think it's related to the niche, but I'm not entirely sure. The suggestion box told me that it was, yada, yada, yada. But if you just play it around in that Audience Insight tool, you'll see that, like, even if it has, like in the nurse niche, even if the nurse niche has, and the interest has nursing on it, it'll still have like a really, really low affinity to it. And that's because of the likes by association, or it's really not that, targeted to begin with for one reason or another. So that affinity ranking will give you really targeted interest, and then segmenting it out the same way Facebook does, the brackets on the mobile, on gender, everything else. I think that's just been my best way of doing it. I know other people that do well on segmenting interest. The logic of I need to separate all that out. If you want to follow that all the way through, you got to get down to the certain age brackets, down to like the one age, so.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's my little rant about it.
No, it's good. It's good to know. It's just it's ultimately the OCD in me that makes me want to do it the way I've been doing it, and I just maybe got to bite the bullet and just.
Hey, there's completely more than one way to sell a shirt. I take that from the phrase that there's more than one way to skin a cat, but that's just the way that I do it, because I want Facebook to have the opportunity to optimize, and I'd rather have the audience be bigger for my ad age brackets than smaller, to a certain point that they can run that ad into it and make sure that it optimizes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I really, really, really appreciate it. I have to go myself, but I really appreciate you taking that time.
No problem, man. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks.
I look forward to seeing you next week.
Why is that?
Oh, I thought you were having a webinar next week.
Oh, I'm like,
yeah, I'll be over there.
Are you coming to St. Louis, man? Let's get a beer. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks
a
lot.
See you, man. Hold on just one second, guys. Awesome. Am I back? Everybody? Hello. All right. Cool. Thank you, Doug, for coming on. Really appreciate that. Anybody else want to hop on real quick? All right, Jeff. Jeff, let me grab you real quick. You got a mic and everything ready to go? Cool. Give me 2 seconds. Jeff?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man? Okay, so you don't need a screen?
No, mine's more of a question.
Sure.
On that new reporting, if you're real familiar with it or not.
What's that?
And the new reporting for the reports.
Oh, the new structure?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can try to do that. Hold on 1 second. How's everything else going?
It's good. It's good.
I probably should just cut a video for this, to be honest with you, just so everybody can see it, and we make it segmented. So I could either talk about it now or hop off the call and create a video on it. Let me see. I'm a fan of democracy. What's everybody think? Should I just create a video and email it to everybody? Create a video? What do you think, man? Do you want to cover it real quick too? Create a video, everybody's saying.
I'm down for a quick cover.
Yeah, hold on. I think we tried to do this last time and ran out of time. And then I brought up both.
You're putting this in anyway, right? I guess you're recording this?
Yeah, something like this concentrated, I would like to get into the community. Let me get a good campaign here. Something with a lot of sales. Hold on. There we go, view report.
Are you ever planning on doing anything, maybe covering some outsourcing in a little more detail, or is that something?
I mean, I actually have a simultaneous course that I'm doing for outsourcing. Just because it is such it is a heck of a thing.
Yeah, it looks like a little difficult.
Yeah, it's not something I would want to just touch on a little bit here. So, okay. Hopefully the report here worked. Let me go ahead and do this.
I'm assuming, is there a way to customize a report and save it?
Yeah, there is. You can save report right here. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is a decent-sized campaign. I think we sold quite a bit of these. So what you're seeing here is we focused on the lower age bracket, as you can tell. So I never went into the higher ones, like I told you, and we played around in quite a bit of different interests. So my main project manager is an interest guru here. So let's go ahead. So we're trying to break it down to like I had before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So under customized columns, they got this whole new setup. I really dump out. I just go ahead and just do this. Just constantly click through. Don't need all those connected. I got the ad set. I'm at the ad set level. And then go ahead and so hold on 1 second. Website and engagement. We need post engagement to tell me the number of post engagements. Cost per post engagement, because that's important, right? Because our metric of below 10 cent. And then website conversion, number of website conversion, cost per website conversion. So what they kind of did is it used to be like really much more segmented than this, and I feel like they've chunked out different things here, and then they got the cost per it here, and then I'd never go below, but value of conversion if you can input that, which I haven't found a way to do that for Teespring or Viral Style. So that really, is the core of what you want to look at on this ad. So you can go ahead and apply it. Let's see how many conversions I got. Okay, so you can see that that's not accurate. So we probably had a lot of viral sales on this one because I know this was a profitable campaign. You can see that it all pulls out the same amount of stuff. Same stuff what we're looking at. You can hit Save Report. and then go ahead and save it. The one thing with save report that's strange is it will save the time frame that you're in. So you want to be careful there, because every time I pull up with it going forward, yeah, David, go ahead. Or just private message me on Facebook, man. If you see it right here at 1/6, if I do it tomorrow, it'll still pull up 1/6. So you're going to have to go in here and select the future date.
So you can pull up a separate campaign, just change the date.
Yeah, so it saves everything. The formatting, it might save the campaign name, but you could just pop that out and put your own campaign and a name in there. So if I did this and then I wanted to do nurse, I have no idea which one this is, but let's see what pulls up. Yeah, see, this is probably my old nurse hoodie that I showed you guys in the course. So it obviously doesn't have anything in that date, so I'd have to backfill it. But that's easy how to pull it up if you remember what you named your campaign. And then these back here, we could go January 14. Let's see what pulls up. I don't know. This might not even been a winner. I just picked one at random. So go ahead and just make sure you know which one it is if you don't pull it up and you want to pop another one in there. I've had weird problems trying to do more than one campaign at one time. And they seem to, Facebook seems to jumble up a little bit. Maybe they fixed it since, but I've never been able to do that successfully. So any other specific questions?
Just a random one. When you're running your, on an average, how many campaigns do you have going, and are they all in different niches, or do you kind of take a niche and spread it out?
Before the Christmas slowdown, we had 82 campaigns live at one time, which means that we had to launch about 20 to 30 to maintain that level, because you had ones expiring, ones being killed, things like that. Right now, if I had to ballpark, I would say that we're at, let me see, probably at the 50 to 60 level, because we've been ramping up the last couple of days. And I don't know, it's going to take forever. So yeah, I would say probably around 50 to 60.
So they're all different niches, or?
I have been actually successfully running multiple shirts into the same niche. As long as you do it on the same page, Facebook's algorithm will never let you compete with yourself for ad space. At least that's what I've heard from people that I trust. So meaning that you can run multiple shirts on the same page into the same niche and never compete with yourself for ad space. Which means you wouldn't be raising your own cost, which was the worry before, right? So that's kind of where that is on that. And then, yeah, I mean, tons and tons and tons. Like I have lists of niches that we'll run into when we have a killer design. So
I got to get more than 2 designs up then.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about what you're comfortable with. Like, I can never do that by myself.
I don't have time.
I have a team of 6 people.
Get that training out.
It's out, man. It will be a recurring, like we take people in, and then it's a kind of closed doors, but it will be something that's opened back up, kind of evergreen, because I don't want to cut that off for people. So we're recording videos and doing stuff like that to make sure that it's available to anybody who wants it later on. But it's all about how I build my team out and structure it, price structure it, different kinds of stuff like that. So
that would be good.
Yeah, because a lot of it is really comes down to people ask me, like, how do you spend so much money? Like, I spend a lot of money, 4 figures a week, just maintaining my team. So I have to make profit on top of that, plus my ad spend. So it's really about your product mix and different kinds of stuff to make sure that you're always profitable and ramping up only at the same time. So it's cool stuff. So yeah,
that would be good. Yep. Well, that's all I got.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Take care. Chat. Oh, let me get your audio off here. Man, I can't find you, Jeff.
I'll just keep talking.
What was your last name again?
Parody with a P. Are you running? I got one more quick one. Are you just using the Teespring platform, or yeah? I just popped in. Are you just using Teespring? Because I don't use Teespring. I have my own thing.
You have your own. Good for you. No, I use Teespring Viral Style, and we've tested others out as well. So
it's not good for me yet, but it's all right.
Yeah. So you got your own printer and everything?
No, I use somebody else's, but not. It's my own. You probably heard of it. It's my own thing off of WordPress to plug in. It's pretty good.
Oh, product pages.
No, they call it TPP or whatever it is.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
It's not right. I don't think it's 100% there yet, but it's getting there.
Okay. Well, cool, man. All right, I found you, so I'm going to cut you off now.
See you.
All right, man. Take care. See ya.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Louise, I don't know. The only thing I would have as a suggestion is, I would just write to them, man, and try to get it through the right way. Doing it the way, any other way than that is not suggested. Hold on. Yeah. Matt, do you have a generic t-shirt page with multiple interest shirts, or do you have your page for each niche? Melinda, I have a page for each niche. Wait, are you talking about Facebook page? If you're talking about Facebook page, I have T-shop style shirts, stores, like, quote unquote stores, where I have one page with tons of interest on it, and then I also have my own niche pages as well. Heather, are you willing to get on the call? You said you had a budget question. Okay. So what's your, Melinda, Heather, stay with me here. I'll answer your question. What's your budget question? I'm sorry, it gets lost in the feed here. In that time, Melinda says, how big of an audience do you like to target when you're adding interests? As you saw in the course, I don't care how big my audience is. I've ran shirts into 3 million plus audiences. As long as I segment down far enough, I can always get it to win. All right, so got a question here from, okay, Heather says, hold on one second, guys. Heather, I don't understand the half profit budget. So these costs per post engagement. Okay, so website conversion, that tells me the number that I converted at. This is the cost it took of running ads to that, just for direct purchases. The reason that this was a successful campaign is because it wasn't because of the direct clicks, it was because of the shares. I had and engagement. I had really, really cheap. 2 cents across 60,000 post engagements is a lot, and they were probably sharing quite a bit of that time. And the reason that helped me was it was getting more people in there. and more faces to it, and it generally has a rule, for me, that if I'm getting really low cost per engagement and I'm still profitable, I'll keep it running. The only reason that my guy would have kept this running here is if he was tracking to make sure that this ad on the back end was making us money versus not. And the half profit per shirt is if my conversion value, which means if I make a sale, I make $10. My budget for the day would be $5 to try to see if I can sell for half the profit of the shirt, which is $10. If you do that, you have a good likelihood, if you can sell for $5 or less when your profit's 10, you have a likelihood that you have a large room to scale into, because if you push your ad more and more, Facebook's going to dilute the audience a little bit more and more. They're going to reach those likes by association. So that's why you want to start at a basis point where you could be as low as possible, preferably under the half price point. Hope that helps. And then this, just to clarify, it only cost me 1 cent for each person to engage on that ad, or 2 cents for people to engage on that ad. So for all 60,000 of those engagements, I was paying $2 per engagement, or 2 cents per engagement. Geez, $2 per engagement, I'd be broke. Ricky has a question on locations. You want to hop on, Ricky, or what do you want to do? Heather, how much am I ended up paying on the ad? I don't know. We can try to find spend here. Performance. Spent. So you can see that I ended up spending on this campaign $2,712. But the only reason I was spending that was because I was making more money in the same time. David asked a good question here. If your ad quits delivering because of a budget constraint twice, does that hurt the price of the ad going forward? So if you're like in a day and you throw through your budget in a little bit of time, or you pause an ad because you don't have any more money, if your ad is not active, in my opinion, it's not going to be optimizing. And then once you get it active again, you're reasserting yourself into the market where you're competing against everybody else, and immediately you might spike back up to the back of the line, so to speak. So the better performing your ad is, the lower your cost per engagement is, the lower your website conversion is, or anything like that, you're going to have a better performing ad, your costs will be lower, and you will be shown to more people. Preston asks, is a website conversion a sale on Teespring? Yes, or anything that you're selling. Okay, Ricky, let me find you. Let's get you on here. Because I think this new location thing is pretty cool. And Ricky.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Not too much. How you doing?
Not too bad. Oh, man, we're already 50 minutes into this call. Wow. Cool. So how's it going, man? So you got a question around this thing I was showing everybody?
Yeah, listen, the way you did, that's why I was going to have you backtrack on that, because when you came out of the gate on that subject, that's something I'm about to get here in the next couple of weeks. And here's the scenario on why you got my attention on it, because you've been talking about, like, all right, just taking everything outside of T-shirts or, like, let's say, ClickBank or whatever.
Yeah.
This case here, this is not about ClickBank. All right, I've got some offline clients I do. When I say offline, I do some of their internet marketing. And I'm in Texas. So let's say, for an example, I've got now this is where this is very unique, why you got my attention.
Cool.
I've got a plastic surgeon in Miami. Okay. Miami is the most competitive city in the world for plastic surgeons. All right, there's more plastic surgeons in Miami than anywhere else.
Makes sense.
In his case, he's a little bit more unique than the average plastic surgeon. All right, he doesn't do lap bands. What they do is what they call post-bariatric surgery. All right, breast reduction. In other words, the people have already had the lap band done a year later after they've lost how many ever pounds they lose. They've got a problem with, like, say, loose skin. Okay, so he comes in and post-bariatric is tightening up the skin. In other words, making them look normal again. Okay, after getting rid of all the excess skin. Now there's post-bariatric surgery. I've actually gone in and played around with this. There's women that like that. That's obviously the predominant field, but there's also men's tummy tuck. My question is that,
can you tell me real quick what that is?
what's that? Post-bariatric surgery?
Yeah.
All right, let's say, for an example, I weigh 400 pounds, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And my doctor says, hey, you've got to lose the weight, and then what they do is they'll give you the lap band. All right, the lap band, they go in and they tighten up the stomach to where you're only going to eat only so much. In other words, it might take you a year to lose the weight. But here's the problem, Matt. After you've lost all that weight, you've got a lot of excess skin that is sagging. It doesn't look very good.
Right.
All right? I mean, I've seen some of the pictures, and I go, holy crap.
Right.
I mean, it will literally scare you. Now, these are pictures without the clothes on. So my point is this. His specialty is this, and that's why they call it post-bariatric. And, all right, in other words, he comes in after the fact on all the people have lost the weight after the lifestyle they need. Now, while he's also got a very unique procedure he's trademarked, and I'm not going to mention it here because there might be some people in here that will make a run at him, which I'm not worried about.
Right.
Right? But you know what I'm talking about. But my point is, he's got a very unique procedure that he trademarked the name. Like, for example, most plastic surgeons go after the term mommy makeover. All right, so he came up with another term, trademarked it, which was very smart, but now he can also, now here's why he does this. He's very smart. He's going, plastic surgery is selective surgery. In other words, it's not all insurance covers it. All right, say for an example, a breast augmentation. Insurance companies typically won't cover that. Now, breast reduction, because of health reasons, they will. Post-bariatric surgery, because of health reasons, they will. So what he's done is he coined that term, and he can come in with a lady now that may want the post-bariatric surgery, but he may say, do you want the tummy tuck also? Do you want the, breast reduction? So now he can get insurance money. So here's the question now. I've got 3 different terms: breast reduction, tummy tuck, post-bariatric surgery, plastic surgeon in Miami. Now, a lot of people, and this is where I basically have told him we're going to kind of incorporate this into a new website. Miami is an ideal location for medical tourism. That's becoming a big thing.
Really?
Would you rather go to, like, say, overseas to Colombia or Costa Rica and get plastic surgery? Sure, it's cheaper. But can you go back and sue your surgeon if he botches the job? In other words, it's not always best to save money, is my point. Now, he's well known in Miami, even though it's still, I would say, the most popular town. But how do I get him out to target the right market, the right people outside, just say in Florida? All right.
Okay.
And then how would
well, check this out.
Go ahead.
So check this out, too.
That's why you got my attention. I wanted to see this.
So what if I did Florida? And exclude location. What city? Miami?
He's in Miami, but then also he's got a second location. I'm glad we're getting on this subject, in Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood, Florida, huh? Of course they would have a Hollywood.
Here's the unique part. Hollywood is right smack next door to Fort Lauderdale. I've actually, on some videos I've done for him, I've gotten more views out of Fort Lauderdale than I would say in Miami.
Okay. So here is data for Florida excluding Miami and Hollywood. Now, I don't know how social these things are going to be as far as...
Believe it or not, I've seen some in the forums. Believe it or not, there is post-bariatric forums.
Spell one of those out for me.
All right, post-bariatric surgery, let's see, it's B-A-R-I. T-R-I-C.
So it's probably going to be post very.
And it's two words. Post bariatric. Beat with a beat, boy.
Bariatric.
A.
Hmm.
R-I-B-A-R-I.
Yeah, you got nothing.
T-R.
Let me try bariatrics.
There you go. Bariatrics. There you go.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Let me see what the page looks like. Not a whole lot of people here. Obviously, we're looking at.
But that's a very, very.
Where we're gonna lose a lot of data here, everybody. Just to make sure you know, we're going to be. Hold on, just 1 second. Yeah.
The reason I wanted you to do this because when you hit location, and then I know it's outside of shirts, but this still applies to whether it's shirts or whatever.
No, I am no, absolutely. I like to be, as much as I like selling shirts, I try to consider myself a paid traffic expert, not.
Oh, well, I'm trying. See, that's just it. I'm trying to get into the shirts. Got some good designs coming up, but I'm fixing to start building a niche page.
Yeah. So here's a pretty cool thing. You can even do that exclusion down to the state level, and then you could. This is what you sound like you know what you're doing here. So it doesn't really. I don't think I need to show you what I would do, other than you can do deeper than just the United States. So this is what I would do for you.
Which we're going to now. I mean, to interrupt you, but here's why I say that.
Look at
I
that
found a lady, because I asked them one day, why did your office manager not reply back to this lady on Facebook that's in Miami, Ohio, that is interested in post-bariatric surgery? So it is in fact, actually, like I said, it's a worldwide deal. But I want to now see, like, right, when I'm looking at that list of names you've got now, like Cape Coral, Coral Gables. In other words, there's those. That's what I'm looking at now, like say like Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's where I'm wanting to see the people that have an interest in that topic. How would you chart them?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to stay pretty on topic here, and this might be something that you want to get the biggest niche possible.
Right.
Plastic surgery, plastic surgeon. These will be things for you. Ooh, no way.
Google actually treats both of those the same, surgeons and surgery.
Man, this is where I hate not having like a bigger in field here. So I would just be doing plastic surgery, try to get as narrowed down as possible to plastic surgery center. How can plastic surgery not be a... So, I mean, yeah, I would. You sound like you know the market way better than me. I'm going to be playing around here, but I would go general as possible in the interest. Yeah, so I would go as general as you can in the interest, and then, or here you can do the other cool thing that I showed in one of the videos here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and somebody brings up a really good point. This is to be way better on Google or some kind of search advertising.
No, I disagree with that too. I mean,
really?
Yes. And here's why. Because
if you're looking for buyers, it's always Google, man. I mean, like that, if you can at least. The reason the Facebook is so useful is that it's the sharing and the commenting and the social aspect. But straight buyers of especially expensive surgery, I've always geared towards the search advertisement. Cosmetic surgery, somebody brought up a good point here. This is definitely something I'm not really used to, as I just put cosmet.
The reason I say that, too, because, see, I see the consumer. Now, here's why I disagree with that. The consumers I'm seeing.
What's wrong with me here today?
They're more into the social on Facebook. Now, here's the unique thing. Most plastic surgeons, they haven't caught on to Facebook yet. They've caught on to it, but they are completely doing it wrong. Now, not only that, they're mostly relying on outside marketers that have basically, should we say, kind of buffaloed them into paying them.
Yeah. I was going to do here, I'm trying to do pages liked. It is called...
See, for an example, and this is just another example, Matt. I mean, I guess it's
Here you go. Hold on just 1 second here. Hold on 1 second. This is
there you go.
page's name, plastic surgery. So this is the kind of stuff, and I just typed that into the search. I would run through here and make sure that you just try to get as much on the interest as possible. Even take out we were narrowed down so far, and start big, get as many people as you possibly can, and then narrow it down to the regions that you're doing. So, you know, and then somebody else brings up a good point. You know, doctor names, doing a little research, Googling some doctors, and then getting people that are tied to that, and then really deep dive in. We can't spend too much longer.
No, I understand.
Yeah, deep diving into the specific. I mean, what are you going for, and all that good stuff. It sounds like you really know what you're doing. This is just something that's really, really out of my wheelhouse, plastic surgery. So, and then using it as a buyer objective too. But definitely keep me up to date, man. I would like to know how this goes. And
No, I would like to sit back and actually private message you on some of this stuff, because like I said, this is kind of a unique deal because, like I said, this is kind of, I don't think it's out of line. Some other people, there might be some offline marketers that can kind of get into this, because it's not the, how do we say it, it's not the shirts, it's not the ClickBank products, it's actually, you know, this is something you could sell locally to people with the right business now. That's the key, is the right business. That's the type of clients I go after, is the high ticket plastic surgery. Stuff like that, because this is a very, very unique way. But see, the targeting, what I'm seeing, the concept, it's the same. I don't care if it's that. It's very comparable to shirts, believe it or not. My plastic surgeon thought I was a little nuts, but see, you can really get down into the consumer that's got that interest in what he does.
right.
What really got me, and I'll let you go on this because it has taken a while, but for example, when you hit the page likes, I know who his competitors are, so I want to target those on the competitors. So, but I will keep you updated on it. I appreciate your help.
Yeah, man. Cool. Thank you for coming on and sharing that with us. It's something, you know, you could definitely drive traffic to whatever you want. And so if you get it to work, please let us know and keep us up to date.
You got it.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm real bad at doing this. Hold on 1 second here. All right. So, David asked a real good question here. He asks if done any split testing with the cost of shirts. Yeah, I sold the same shirt at $19.99 as I have with $21.99. I don't think cost plays too much of a factor. It's really the third factor in my mind for people buying. Your targeting being the first, your design being second, and then cost being third. Now, don't be outrageous, but I ultimately try to get an objective of $13 per profit per shirt, $13 to $14. So if that doesn't put me at a price point that's crazy, then I'll try it out. So depending on your niche, some niches you can charge a little bit more. You know, no, David, I agree. That's what I was trying to say. Like I don't see much of a difference, but I won't be cheap. I got just as many at 21 as I did at 19.99. Actually, my biggest campaigns have always been at a higher price point. So I would go ahead. I wouldn't do anything over $24.99 for a shirt. $13 or $14 profit at 50 sales. Now, depending on what platform you're on, that might be a little difficult, but Viral Style's got a little bit better profit margin than Teespring, and then so on and so forth. So you just got to look at what it is. I wouldn't get your price point too crazy. Over $24.99, you're getting a bit crazy. You can go into, like, you know, sports. You justify being a little higher, But ultimately, people know it's like a Haynes tagless tee, man. I mean, you don't charge somebody $30 for a Haynes tagless tee. So, hold on one second. Let's get one more person on here who is willing to get on, and then I'll just rapid fire answer some questions. And then we'll wrap it up for today. We will have one more call next week. Jose says he'll be on, so we will have one more call next week at this time, or possibly, if needed, 7 p.m. Let me get Jose on here. I was going to say 7 p.m. Central, which would be 8 p.m. Eastern. And yes, there will be a replay. I am currently recording. It'll take my Dell a little bit of time to render, as it always does, and then we'll be ready to rock. Jose. Yeah, replay will go up in the members area right next to replay number 1. But we still got an hour here, guys. Don't leave yet. Jose.
Yep, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I got a question for you. When you're doing a very large niche, you know, I'm going to use golf as an example here. You know, you start niching down, you know, or layering down, and you start, you know, finding the more targeted audiences. Now, I guess I was doing it here with golf just to go through the example. So one of the things that pops up as I start to layer down is PGA Tour, but I still have like 2 million people in that audience. It's a colossal audience. I keep going down, and eventually I think I ended up. I'm not a golfer myself, but I ended up with like Titleist or something, like one of the golf balls, I think. And the question I have, because I've seen this happen in several different niches as I start going through and using the system, is you always have one of those interests that have a huge audience, you know, 1 or 2 million people in it, popping it back into the, you know, into the ones that are the most relevant sites or the most relevant fan pages.
Right.
So my question is, do you kind of like skip over that one, or what do you do when you have, you know, that interest that you know is just a colossal interest with a lot of people in it? You know, because I'm thinking that's one of those, you know, that's one of those interests that might end up getting likes by association, as you call it.
Sure. So your PGA Tour is going to be something that is, I mean, everybody knows what the PGA Tour is, and that's really the problem. If you can say, I don't want you to, don't write this as Bible, but if you can say, everybody knows what that is, then you might consider moving to the next interest. So let's go ahead. I just had golf. Now I'm PGA Tour. So now this is also a great indication here. So if you're ever questioning an interest itself, look at the affinity that's in that interest itself. So you've now popped it in, and now we're just focusing on that, right? And yet it's only a 10 affinity level, maybe almost 11. And so it doesn't have a strong association with anything else within the niche, right? It is associated with it, but it doesn't have a strong association itself. So, and you can see the same with golf. It's not even that tied to golf, which is really, really where you need to be focused. So I would go ahead and probably you could use this as a stepping stone, because I think overall we improved. But I would go ahead and say PGA Com's probably a better one. PGA Com, because that's also, you know, it's a website. It's a little bit more precise. And then boom, there you go. So your affinities have now gotten greatly tighter. We did kind of prove that one out in our minds, that that's probably not something we want to target, even though it does have. So, but you know, it's just a rule set to go by, but you also have to be aware of your niche. You know, I'm sure I could get through a really strong, you know, in the speaking niche or coaching niche, I could get Tony Robbins to pop up with a high affinity. But you would never want to target Tony Robbins because Tony Robbins is too popular of a human being, or Tiger Woods for golf. You would never want to target Tiger. Whoa, that was hard to say. Target Tiger, but you know he's very popular with the niche. He's just too famous. So PGA Tour might be one of those things, if you understand the niche a little bit more, that it's on TV all the time. It's going to have likes by association associated with it. And then focus on something that gets you a little bit more down and deep. And, you know, I've always said it, websites, magazines, long-tail keywords like this thing, associations, these are where you're going to want to try to focus as much as possible with the other things such as PGA Golf or PGA Tour on the outside of that are just straight Titleist. Titleist itself might even be too general of a niche to go after. You know, I think that you want to just focus on in this niche. I've seen good success with magazines. With it's the same with like hunting. Like you're going to go into something that's a really general term, and then you're going to want to start doing magazines, associations, and building out your interest like that and layering down.
Yeah, when you're looking at the affinity, so I know that you said you want something that's higher than the teams, but obviously they're all over the place sometimes. So
yeah,
relative to what you're seeing in general for the ones that are closely associated, like where do you make the cutoff and say, okay, this is something that I definitely want to include, and this is something that I might want to skip over.
Yeah, so as long like I know golf, I'm not like a pro or anything, but I play golf enough to know this niche, and I could roll through here and say that Masters tournament I probably would, PGA tournament I would leave off. Golf Channel I've targeted with a lot of success, and you just gotta, if you ever question it, I would pop it open, understand it, look at the page, like FootJoy, yeah, like FootJoy. I know. I mean, I have I was gonna say I have golf shoes for FootJoy. Do they make anything else? I don't know. So maybe roll through here and make sure it's just for golf. And that's the kind of stuff that you need to do just to make sure. And if you ever have a doubt in your mind, do a little research, spend a little time. These are strong affinity rankings to go to this website. So you know they have to do with golf. You just got to understand them a little bit more. Google them if you have to. And especially in these big niches, you could probably get like pretty narrowed down. Let me see here, paste.
See, for example, before you leave this page, scroll down a little bit. You had because that's kind of the question that I had with the affinity levels. So if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see somewhere down there making birdies. And notice how like that one jumps down to like 35. Now 35 is still a high affinity level, but the question I have, is when I'm looking through these, is it still closely enough associated when you're seeing that you're getting such a much higher affinity level with all the other interests in here?
Okay, I get you. So my answer to that would be, on something like this, I would be entering each one of these interests as long as it added to the audience, and as long as I had that check of, is it too diluted, like PGA Tour. I think that's too diluted. So as long as you're adding people in it, and that goes to the piece in the course that I talked about where I said, we don't want to add anything that doesn't add any people to the audience.
Yeah, of course.
Because that'll increase the like by association chance. So I would go, PGA.com, Golf Channel, TaylorMade Golf, Callaway Golf, and keep going down here. And if you hit making birdies, which I know is very, very targeted, and has a decent size here too, right? But if it doesn't add anybody to your audience, then I wouldn't include it. And if it does, then keep it in. And that's really where it comes down to it. It's like it's got to at least increase the audience. It usually kicks up by like 20,000 people. But you're not even that much. I mean, your affinities here are really high because we're in there. And you look at how Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods just makes the cut. I still would never include him though.
Of course. Yeah, I've had interest that, I was targeting like 30 interests before, and then using this system, I've narrowed it down to like 12, and then had a larger audience size. So it's pretty big ass.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're going for, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter how many people you put in as long as you can be targeted. And you would want to segment the hell out of it. But the point is here that I was able to, the first thing that led to this was the nurse niche, where everybody was like, oh, I found nurses who like pit bulls that live in New Jersey, which I love Don. That's his shirt, but Don's my mentor. But that's a very, 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 very segmented audience, right? But the point is that you can be targeted and you have a big enough audience, as big as you want. So I think that's the cool thing about this. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and sort by affinity. If you just wanted to be the most targeted people you could, and these are going to be the ones with the highest affinity that have they're not necessarily going to have the largest audience. But if you do the relevancy, it's going to mix the two, and that's why they're always so big at the beginning versus because they're a mixture of Facebook and affinity. Or if you just wanted to do pure size, obviously NFL pulls up. I mean, so that's obviously not targeted. So,
is there a time when you would prefer to do it by affinity versus relevance? Right.
I always do relevancy,
yeah.
And then if I feel like there's more in the audience, if I think I can get a couple more, once I hit a wall on this, say if it's at our making birdies again, once I can't go any, and okay, making birdies isn't adding anything, then I'll try ping golf. That's not anything. So I feel like there's no more here. I'll pop over affinity and see if one of the super targeted ones will squeeze me out a little bit more. And of course, some of these were in there before, but like Morning Drive, I had no idea that was there. FootJoy, I think was actually there, but Golf Week wasn't there. So that's the kind of stuff that you do to make sure that you're having huge, that's funny, relevancy. Got this one all the way up here. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that I do, and that's the only time I would ever switch it around.
Yeah. Now one more question. With something like this is a very, very, you're going to get an audience that's into the millions. If you're doing a brand new shirt that's never been tested in this market before, and I'm just using this as an example. I don't know a thing about golf, but I know it's a huge market. Yeah. How would you go? How would you proceed? With a brand new shirt that's never been tested before, because to split it out, across age, gender, and demographic would obviously be a pretty expensive test.
Right. So if you're concerned about the audience, if you're concerned about the targeting, what I would do if you're entering a new niche, I wouldn't do a general shirt trying to sell to everybody. What I would do is try to narrow it down at least to like men that are 40 and above, or like dads here. You can do dads who are men who like golf. And now your bracket is dramatically smaller, as you can see here. And it's a fraction of where it was. And you can start adding these guys in and then target those people. So I had one that was like when I first entered golf, I tried to test it out with a really, really funny dad's golf shirt, and only something that I know that older people would like, and that's, I mean, I just told you exactly what I did. I just came in here, found it like this, and then tested it, and then you can segment your audience to a specific age bracket, age, gender, and then do both sides, mobile and desktop, and then that really gives you a test of your audience, and then you can kind of branch it out from there. Go for the younger, go for like a golf wouldn't actually be too good for female in general, but you could probably kill it by honing in on just female golfers, right? So the females that they're probably much more underserved than the male side. So you can see how all women 18 to 65 who like PGA Com, let's go back to golf. These are the kinds of shirts that, oh shoot, hold on. These are the kinds of shirts, by the way, that, for everybody that's on here, that kill it, is when you go for a huge audience and then you know that it's dramatically to one gender than the other, but there are some people of the opposite gender, the underserved gender, that would appreciate a shirt and they don't get served by the market. That's how that charity program that I sent out on Christmas, there wasn't like a lot. It was like a new dog breed, a relatively new dog breed, and there wasn't a lot of stuff out there for them. So selling to those people was the way that I was able to kill it, because you were fulfilling a need for them. So look at what comes up under. This is golf for women 18 to 65, and Amazon fashion comes up, mint julep. But you can tell the affinity is really down. This would probably take some work here. You know, it's funny, Auburn Tigers. I know there's a lot of golf down there. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you would really need to hone in on. This looks like this would be a yeah, this would be a good one
Actually,
to go into.
related question. I've got a niche that I'm working in right now that I've got a pretty successful shirt that's working in it, and I've honed it down to a particular demographics. I started out with splitting it up across. I had 20 ads running across all ages, genders, and platforms. And I pretty much got it down now to like where it's females 35 to 55. Now my question is, would you at that point go back into the AI tool and just enter females 35 to 55 and take a look to see what the interests are that pop up for them, versus the one that I had originally, which was the entire audience, male, female, 18 all the way to 65.
Absolutely. I mean, what you can do. I mean, that's a great point, and for everybody on the call, that's the perfect example of what you should do. I mean, going one time through and proving it one time is great when you're approaching a whole audience. But if you need to revisit it, you can take different. And I think I talked about this in the case studies with Don too, if you saw those. But you can go back in here and take a different route too, and see what comes up. See if you can get yourself onto something else and something different. So if I was to pick Tiger Woods here and then pub him in and then try to layer down on him, does that show me different results than if I did tailor-made golf and then layer down to try to find new interests like that too? So those are two different things you can do. So if you did the first way, and just like you said, where you found your winning demographic, then you brought that demographic in here and then layer down in there to do it again, perfect idea, do it. But also come in here and try to take different roads to see if you can get some extra interest that didn't pop up the first time. Because you are talking about an audience of 6 million or something? 9 to 10 million people. So there's definitely some stuff that'll get pushed lower down on the relevancy, because it's not related to that secondary or third interest that you plugged in.
Yeah, with this niche I'm in, just leaving the interest as is when I had the entire demographic, male, female, 18 to 65, if I went in leaving those interests in the AI tool and I honed it into that demographic, my audience size was like 250. But then if I, it deleted all of the interest out and then went back in and started layering down, from scratch, but starting with the demographic that I had in mind, I actually doubled that audience size by starting out, with the age bracket. So it's something that, I was pretty surprised. So now mid-campaign, I'm thinking, okay, I need to start new ads, running to these new interests that I didn't have before, because that's obviously going to expand my audience size and, hopefully help my ROI there.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, well, good. Sounds like you're doing good, and you got some. Thank you for saying that you like the course. So,
Awesome.
I really appreciate you coming on, man. And if you got anything else, we'll go on to the next questions and take it from there.
Oh, one quick question. I've been right now all my shirts. I've been designing them through guys on Fiverr, and I'm looking to get somebody a little bit more permanent through Odesk. What do you guys pretty much? What are you guys paying for? Good designers.
I got my main designer is $20 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I got 3 designers, but $20 an hour for the main.
Got it. Yeah, you get what you pay for. I guess it's the bottom line.
Well, think of it this way. Excuse me. Think of it this way. I paid somebody who's really, really good at their craft a good amount per hour, but she can also knock out 2 to 4 shirts in an hour, depending on the design. So really, when it comes down to it, I'm paying a top-notch designer $5 to $10 per design. So, that's, in my mind, is much better than me paying $5 for a guy on Fiverr.
Yeah, I'm paying him on Fiverr. I'm kicking in an extra $5 to get him, to do the work fast and to, put me as a priority. But it always takes 3 or 4 runs, so I'm spending $30, $40 a design by the time I have something that I'm happy with.
I got somebody on staff, and once you have them on staff, they understand you. They know what you're looking for. I don't remember the last time we sent one back to her, and to any of my designers, really. I mean, maybe a minor tweak. But they really know what they're doing once you're with them for a little bit.
Yeah,
so
great advice.
Make it just stop what you're doing and make it your next step to just put something on Odesk and try to find somebody to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely my next move right now.
Okay. Yeah, and when it comes down to it, man, like I was at that point too, where I had to stop. I had to stop launching shirts because I had to focus on just interviewing people to hire out my 6-person staff. And so I wanted to get a team in place so I didn't have to do the launching of the shirts and everything, the daily stuff, so I can do stuff like this. So and to do that, I just had to, cold turkey it and get to work. And that's what you really got to do. So.
Good stuff, man. These are huge nuggets. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, thank you.
See ya. All right. So let me run through some of these questions real quick. Mega says, are there companies that, which do not have excellent quality shirts? Let me make sure my mic's on here. That not have excellent quality shirts. Do we know what to do to avoid these companies? I haven't bumped into one. Teespring Viral Style, Sunfrog for that matter, Represent. They all have great quality shirts. Heather, I do not have a written transcript. I'm sorry. Since we're so much of a visual, it's never just been anything on my docket to do. Eric says, at the beginning, I know it's slow, so if you're getting engagement under 12 cents, how long would you wait for your first sale? How much money would you spend? Great question. So a couple things. This is why I start in the morning, because you're giving it Facebook the most time. When you're optimizing for your ad, they will spend your budget in a day. So if you start it in the morning, you have a likelihood of spending it throughout the day instead of burst spending it towards the end of the night. My case in point was also when you have a really, really good performing ad, sometimes they burst spend you at the end because you only spent like $7 throughout the day. So what you never want to give them to do is have more of an opportunity to spend your money in a short amount of time. So always launch in the morning. Yes, a lot of times the report will show bad engagement at first. There is a lag between an updating of the reporting and of when that it's actually true to its report, like true to the shirt. So give it at least your test budget to see how it truly performs. Now, that being said, if you've spent $10 of a $20 budget and you're still getting 60 cents cost per click, and your ad has only 5 likes on it or whatever, then yeah, you have a bad performing ad, and I would stop it. So take a peek at your budget, see how much is spent, give it a couple dollars give it at least 25% of your budget for the day to see how it's going. And then 50, really take a pulse and make sure that you're correctly spending your money. And then definitely an analysis of kill. The last chance for you to do that analysis is when your test budget has been spent. But don't scale anything on day one unless it's just completely out of control and you know that you're getting tons and tons of sales. But even then, be restrained because you never know what's going on in the back end. You don't want to ever scale too hard too quickly. All right. Paul, I don't know what your local time is, but I always have mine. You can launch at any time, but you can schedule them. I would schedule them if you're selling in the United States. Schedule them to start at 4 a.m. the next day. So if you were to at 4 a.m. I'm sorry, Pacific time the next day. Cool. So if you're going to do it now, you're going to leave this call and launch a shirt and launch an ad. Have your ad start at 4 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Eric, asking that question so many times. Use a software or tool to create your image post ad to save time and have the ad look professional. You know what? I used to. We used Photoshop, if anything. Photoshop Elements. It's like a real simple, easy to use Photoshop platform, because I know Photoshop is kind of a daunting thing, and I think it's like $60. So I recommend it to anybody that's not familiar with the platform. But I don't do that whole limited edition, save money by clicking here, arrow, and everything. Honest to God, some of the best times I've had, and some of the best campaigns I've had, have simply just been 2 downloads from Teespring, put it onto the ad, and go. So just the shirt download. If it's a front and back, put it into Photoshop. Zoom in on the back, zoom in on the front, get them side by side with each other, and then put it up. And I don't do variations. I don't do anything. You want to be very congruent with what you're doing. So if you show the back of your design as your ad, have it linked to the back, so the back shows up when they get to the landing page. That means that on Teespring you can select the back shows first. Viral Style, you can have the URL give you to the back first. Sure Represent and the other platforms have a similar direction there. Jeff asks, what direction do we give to start a design? A photo of a similar graphic, or just tell them to start from scratch? It depends on my designer. My A-team designer is good enough to where I just let her do her creative ability. And then my B-team designers, I kind of give them a little bit more of a push. And I don't mean A as in like best, or B in any kind of derogatory way. It's just I have one designer that I pay a lot for her creativity, and then the other designers I want to scale designs. Generic FB question. Melinda says, why are mom, dad? It's not what's on the shirt so much, Melinda, as what you say in the text, from my understanding. Obviously, don't take that to an extreme. Melinda asks, why is it okay to do mom-dad shirts when you're obviously targeting gender, which is against Facebook? I think it's more of what the text is. Now, that being said, the name campaigns had this name on the shirt, and that was against TOS. But that was, I think, just the extreme. But if you were like, hey, mom, get this shirt, I think that would be against TOS. Or, hey, Mike's mom, get this shirt, or something like that. But that shirt in itself, like the mom football shirts or stuff like that, I don't think they're against TOS, because you're not really, derogatory in any sense. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's another question for somebody else. Karsten, no, I do not. Do you run ads for more than one Facebook account? Yes. Do you separate campaigns? Do you separate campaigns for hoodie and tees? No, Michael. I don't have I don't overload people with options, because options sometimes equal paralysis. However, I want them to have the ability to select a hoodie or a shirt, especially now, due to hoodies being the main item. Maybe they back down to a shirt. Hold on just one second. Jeff asks, do I have any software like Hero, to analyze the results of a campaign? No. All I really need is the analytics from the Teespring campaign or the Viral Style campaign, and my ads and the reporting that we were looking at earlier. Some software is really good. I don't know what Hero is. Maybe I do like it. I don't know. But generally, I mean, this is software, right? It just looks nicer. So Facebook has created a software program for us, and we should be using it because it's free. I can't show you one that's running, Michelle, or Michael, sorry, but it's really just taking a Teespring campaign, downloading it, downloading the image on the Teespring campaign and running with it and uploading it. So we got a question. Once you find your pages with high affinities, how many do you add into your FB ad interest? If we checked on see more and the list page seems to go on and on, would you add every page that's on there in the list? Here's the thing. So yes, this does go on forever and ever and ever and ever. Depending on your niche, it's probably going to go on for a very long time. So here's the thing, though. You're sorted by relevancy. What does relevancy include along with affinity? It sorts your size. So eventually, this will accumulate all the people who are down here and below. So eventually, you're going to add in enough of the big interest where you don't add much more. And if you do add any more, it's going to be very, 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 very small. So that's where I stop, is when I can't add any more people, because generally you're going to get to a point where this is so big up here, like when I got the 2 million or the 1.8 million nurses, that was so big that I couldn't add any more without it, adding interest that didn't add anything to the size. What can you do? What can you do if the campaign is doing good, and when you scale, the sales disappear as well as your money? Sales disappears, and if you're not selling anymore. If you scale and the sales disappears and no more sell, I would back down your scaling to where it was selling. If you said the sales disappears and people cancel, I hope that doesn't happen too much. I had somebody cancel 11 shirts the other day. And then, because I guess it was a typo and they only meant to order one. That's a big slap in the face, but that happens, So hey, let's take a quick pulse. We got some more questions here. Let's take a quick pulse. Have you learned some stuff tonight? There's been some good stuff in there. I've been talking for about an hour and 37 minutes right now. So if you have, say yes, and just give me a nice little boost of confidence. Cool. Really appreciate that. Got a lot of yeses. Yeah, and Heather says that she'll need to listen again. That's why we're recording. Knock on wood. Let's go back up to the. Do you always run? Wait. Do you always? Jeff, I'm thinking you're meant run instead of one. Do you always run the ad to one shirt, or do you ever run the ad to a store? So I don't use stores. I had back when age shirts were cool and legal on Facebook, age campaigns, that is. We ran a store, and we built a store. I had built my own software that did it, and it would have like the different shirts, and then so I never had to run it to. I didn't have to say like, if you were born in 1952, click here. So the store had tons of shirts in it in a certain age bracket. And then I also targeted people with that age bracket, and they would be linking to the store. So it did pretty well. I haven't done it in a while, but yeah, you can definitely do a store. Whoa. Yes, great webinar answering our questions so that we can move on. Absolutely. Want you to move on and move up. Do you segment your large audience of nurses down somehow? Carl, did I segment my large audience of nurses down somehow? Come on, man. Anybody, why am I upset about Carl saying that? Anybody? That was my example in the case study in the course, Carl. Come on. Hangs head in shame. Thank you, Carl. Hangs head in shame. All right. Caught you. Get back there and read the and watch the course. Don, no, I don't. You know, I don't. No, sorry, man. I don't think that's the. I don't think that's the time to. This isn't a place or time to do that. All right. Does anybody want to hop on for one more call and then live chat, and then we'll go, and then everybody be off for the day, and I have to rest my voice. All right, Brian. Yeah, when I started doing these webinars not too long ago, I didn't realize how long and how hard talking for 2 hours actually is. So I give a lot of credit to a lot of people that I used to listen to for 2 hours now. Not saying that you should not like tooting my own horn or anything, but it's a lot harder than people would think. Brian. What's up, Brian?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Paul, do me a favor and go over there, and Paul is also in Spain. Go over there and slap around Damien a little bit. If you're in Spain, he could have been, no, I'm just kidding. He's got family stuff. All right, man. So what's going on? Brian, can you hear me? Uh-oh. I lost Brian. Shoot. All right, Brian. If you can't hear me, I can't hear you. Throw in the chat box here. Come back on. Graham, see you later, man. Thank you. I can hear you, but you can't hear me. What can I do? You hopped on, and then I could hear you, and then I can't hear you. So did you do something on your mic?
Can you hear me now?
Whoa, there you go. There you are.
You can
What's
hear
happening?
me that?
I can.
Fantastic.
What's going on?
Hi. First off, I love your course.
Oh, thanks, man.
I got a couple of questions I think everybody can benefit from.
Cool.
How do you decide on what shirt colors to use in your newsfeed ad?
Okay. This is a cool question. Here, I'm going to do a quick Google search.
Thanks so much.
Oh, that wasn't the right search. Shirt.
And happy holidays a few days late.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you. I think this is it. Let me pull this over here. So what I did was I Googled most popular, and let's just go back to it. So I go most popular shirt colors sold by gender. So that's going to tell you a breakdown of color preferences by gender. And your black is always going to be the number one, unless you, and then I thought that was true, but don't if you got a shedding dog, if you're doing a shedding dog niche, don't sell black into it, right? So this will give you, I mean, just Googling, doing a little research, this is data that is gathered up by much larger companies than us individually. So if the data is out there to go here and, oh, I'm getting advertised to, kind of figure out, this has got a lot of cool stuff, actually. I'd like to read this. So you can see that here's your black, and then blue is the male's favorite color, so maybe that has something to do with it. This is, I know shirts sold as black though. Anyway, I do a little bit of a Google research. I've seen the ranking before. I want to say it's like black, navy, gray, blue, and then so on and so forth of what people buy as a general rule. But then understanding, again, your audience a little bit. If I was going to sell a shirt to a Marine, I would do that smoky gray kind of Marine color, right? Or if I was going to do a dog shirt, I wouldn't sell it to a dog. I'm sorry, sell a black shirt to a dog owner. So those are the kinds of things that deviate yourself from that rule set, and then and just kind of figure out your audience there. I always try to go, if it looks good with the design too, always design something that fits with the color. But obviously that Nurse Prayer shirt that I showed you in the course did not look good on like a dark blue. So I had to change it and sold in a different campaign to where the design would work with a darker color. So that's the kind of things to also consider. But that's kind of like third along the way.
Okay. So
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what you would do is go to a graph like this where you've got some data, pick the most popular color, like I want to run a shirt for women. I would pick the most popular color for women and use that for my newsfeed ad.
Yeah, so I would always make that your main item.
Okay.
So that's why black is always used so much. It's not an accident. Black is the most sold T-shirt. So that people always use that if it works with their audience. But then again, if you do have a special one, you have to have some kind of theme you're going for, some kind of niche. Pink really works good with, or not that pink. The variant on pink, it's like a pink red kind of thing where it starts with an H, helicona or something.
Yes.
That starts with that works really well with nurses for whatever reason. So those are the kinds of things that you just learn along the way that you can pick up, and then that'll help you sell more shirts. But you can start with that general rule and then go from there.
Fantastic. Okay, and let's take it one step further, and that is when they click on the newsfeed ad, how do you decide on what shirt colors you want to have on your landing page? So let's say we use black for the newsfeed. They click on the ad. What color options do I want to give them?
I would, again, stick with the most popular shirts sold. So if it is black, navy, gray, those would be my options. Once they look at there. So you always have whatever they click on is what they should be seeing. But a cool strategy too, and I think we've talked about this before, but when you're retargeting, not to deviate too far here, but if you're retargeting, like they didn't like the black, well maybe they like the navy. So in the retargeting ad, say, did you see the navy one? And then retarget them to the navy one. Like Teespring allows you to go to the specific shirt that you're on. So always do that. So be congruent with upfront and have your black to black when they land, but then also have those shirts that we're talking about on that graph. Like just go straight down the ranking. As long as it works with your design, go straight down the ranking of navy, gray, blue, green, blah blah blah. So find that. I'll try to find that and then email it out. I just don't want to spend too much time going through it right now.
Okay, I know you've helped me a lot. Okay,
yeah.
How do you decide on what shirt style to use in the newsfeed ad?
I always
like
just
a
do
hoodie versus the tagless tee.
Yeah. Well, hoodie, I only lead with a hoodie when it's cold. Now it's cold as, depending on where you are. It's very, very cold here in St. Louis. It's only getting colder. So we're gonna be leading with, and that's most of the nation, right? So we're gonna be leading with hoodies for now. And then once we're back, to t-shirt season, when spring comes around, I'd probably lead with I always used to lead with the unisex, unless, the unisex shirt being like the male shirt, unless it's two females. So that would be the next step there.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so they click on the hoodie, or they click on whichever shirt style you have. When they get to the landing page, how many different shirt styles do you offer them? Do you just offer them hoodies for a hoodies newsfeed and the tagless tee for a tagless tee?
No, you leave them options. But I would go, I would do like your main item, so hoodie. I always used to do, or I still do, hoodie, unisex shirt, woman's shirt, and like right now a long sleeve shirt. Don't give them too many options. A tank top if it's appropriate for either one, for a male or female. But don't give them too many options. Don't just load everything in there, because they'd have a little bit of analysis paralysis. They look at every single one of them and then they don't do it. But you also want to be sensitive to your market, where a woman has an option, male have an option. Both of them can do a hoodie, and if they want a long sleeve, they can get it.
Right, yeah, the easiest way to lose the sale is confuse the customer.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to affect Amazon at all, but for us, we want to make sure that everybody's covered, but nobody has more than too many options.
Okay, got one more quick question. Do you target men or women or both of them in your newsfeed ad and on your landing page?
Both, if it's appropriate.
Okay, so what you might do in the newsfeed ad is take a unisex shirt like the tagless tee or the hoodie. So you're targeting them both. When you're doing your targeting in Audience Insights and in your Ads Manager, are you targeting men and women, or are you just saying men only or women only?
So I always start with the most general. So if it is appropriate for male and female, if it's a shirt that either one of them can buy, then I will gather my data around that audience. If it's just a nurse shirt for women, I will cut it down to nurse shirt, for just the women. If it's just something like I used in the reporting for the reporting example, that we only sold to 18 to 24. The reason for that was that we only felt that it was appropriate for that age bracket. So whatever we feel is appropriate, we'll gather the data on in the Audience Insight tool, and then use the pages around that. And then, just as we had discussed earlier with somebody else, we will go back in once we know that we have an age bracket that's a winner, and then use that view only in Audience Insight tool and see what we can come up with.
So you get your general data and then focus it in based on sales and based on your data, and then you fine-tune your targeting.
Exactly.
Matt, thank you so much.
No problem, man. Appreciate you coming on. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up. I will try to find that ranking system. And try to figure out where that was as far as colors. I know it was around here somewhere. I'm just not Googling it right. So if you have it too, that'd be cool. Shoot it to me in Facebook or email or whatever. But really appreciate you guys coming on. I really had fun tonight, and we got one more webinar next week. Hold on one second. Yeah, and I will make that video. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. Really been awesome. We got one more webinar next week. Do not miss it. It's going to be a big one. Damien will be back for that, and we'll wrap it up and just show you appreciation for this course. And we do not have a Facebook page for this group, but feel free to hit me up. And I get hit up quite a bit on Facebook now, but I try to get there if I can. So did you have fun tonight? Give me a big heck yeah before you leave today. Really appreciate it again. And you know, let's talk next week. Everybody make sure you have some questions lined up. And if you're learning stuff, feel free to shoot anybody and tell anybody about it. So, all right, everybody. Take care. Talk soon. See ya.